Hello and welcome back to CRATV, where we talk about politics, policy, and politicians, all from a conservative perspective, right here in the great state of California. So please take a moment, like and share the program so that your friends can know exactly where the places to be in order to get conservative news in California. Also, make sure if you're watching us on Facebook or on YouTube, make sure you hit that notification button. It's a little bell. That way you'll be alerted as soon as this program goes live, and you'll be able to participate in the live chat as the program is taking place. Secondly, I want to remind you, we are a grassroots membership organization. We are the largest and fastest growing organization in the state of California when it comes to Republican politics. We exist primarily to elect conservatives, folks who think like you and I, pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, anti-tax, limited government conservatives to office, from local office all the way up to the presidency of the United States. We try our best to try and make sure that we get people elected who represent our values. But here's the thing, folks, there's no us without you, which means you need to become a member. All you got to do, click on the join link in the description of this video. It'll take you to a page where you can see some videos about what we stand for. And then you can also join, whether you want to join as an at-large member or we have chapters up and down the state. You can become a member of a local chapter. Either way, please make sure that you become a member today. I always like to say, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Don't be part of the problem. Become a member today. Now, one of the things we're looking for our members to do, if you are planning on attending the California Republican Party Convention, which will be taking place April 22nd through the 24th of this month, so that, obviously it's April, so this month it'll be taking place. We're looking for people who are interested in serving as associate delegates. There's a number of advantages to being able to do that. You'll be able to carry proxies and be a part of the process. Not just watch it, but actually be a part of the process. But in order to do that, you have to have someone appoint you. So once again, there's a link in the description to this video for you to be able to know how you can become an associate delegate. Follow that link, contact us, and we will work to make sure that you are appointed as an associate delegate. Now, the deadline is April 12th, so please make sure you get that done today if you're interested in serving. Also want to remind you, we have a new bill that is on our Take Action list. These are bills that we are opposing, and we're encouraging CRA members and their friends and those within their sphere of influence to send a message on. SB 1479 is a bill that basically is going to mandate an invasive and unnecessary testing scheme upon our children if they're going to attend local schools, if they're going to attend public schools. If you want to read more about the bill, once again, follow the link in the description of this video. You can read the actual bill, you can read the analysis of the bill, and you can send a message to the committee that's about to vote on this particular piece of legislation. Once again, all you gotta do is follow the link in the description of this video. And by the way, you can actually either send the message that's there, a pre-written message, or you can write your own message. However you want it, please make sure you do that. Get active, get involved, take action today. And once again, share this with your friends so that they can do the same. Now with that, you know why we're here. It's Thursday, and this is our fourth time this week we've been on the program. Normally we're weekly, but because we got the California Republican Party Convention coming up, because we want to make sure that as many people as possible know about the candidates that the California Republican Assembly is supporting, statewide candidates they're supporting, we're doing as much as we can to interview as many of those candidates as we can. And I am excited to have today a gentleman who gave probably the most exciting speech at the convention. I have to say, he gave me a bit of a heart attack because I was working the camera, and when he jumped off the stage, I'm like, where'd he go? Where'd he go? But he's a gentleman who has a lot of excitement, a lot of energy, and he's also an individual that I believe has the what's the word I'm looking for? The energy, the energy and excitement and the message that I believe that can help us once again have a Republican represent us in the U.S. Senate. And with that, I would like to welcome Mr. Dr. Cordie Williams to the program.
Craig, how are you? Thanks for having me.
I am doing phenomenal, sir. I gave you two titles there, Mr. Doctor, but but Dr. Cordie Williams, welcome. It is a pleasure to have you.
Well, likewise, it's a pleasure to be endorsed by, an organization that one of the greatest presidents of all time, besides probably Trump. And I don't want to say that Trump trumped Reagan. I don't want to say that for a bunch of reasons, but the conscience of the Republican Party. So it's my honor. And man, when I found out that morning or afternoon that I had been endorsed, it was all I could do to hold the tears back when I was at Knott's Berry Farm. So it's a real honor.
Well, we appreciate it. I noticed you wasted no time getting a message out to us, thanking the members of the California Republican Assembly, and your appreciation is appreciated. Let me tell you. Let's go ahead and just get started. Let's start with tell us just a little bit about your background and then why you decided to step up and run for U.S. Senate.
Well, I'm a doctor and a dad. I'm a U.S. Marine. I'm a chiropractor. I'm a father with two young boys under the age of 5. And when the lockdown started, it was just very clear to me that so many Americans were being duped. And that's not to say that there wasn't this virus that killed some people, but the fact that we would shut down our government, basically, we would shut down businesses, life would just get at a standstill. Didn't make a lot of sense to my wife and I. We started to push back. We did multiple protests and rallies. On our third protest and rally, we were up at the Sacramento State Capitol. Before rallies were rallies, there were 3,000 people there. And I ended up talking on a megaphone and talking down some riot gear police. There were 300 to 500 of them, 50 that I talked down, and we'd seen everything that day, Craig, of women being thrown to the ground, handcuffed, all this stuff. And it was under Gavin Newsom's order. So I pushed back, talked through a megaphone, 21 million people heard it. And I've been on the road 3 weekends out every month for 2 years ever since then. And it just seemed like the natural thing to do. If you're telling people to run for office and you're teaching them the Constitution, eventually the question is going to come up, well, Cordie Williams, when are you going to run? And so on November 6th, I threw my hat in the ring, and I believe this race is winnable. I believe this is a snapshot in time where if we were ever going to flip this seat, it's going to be right now, because of how frustrated people on both sides of the aisle are.
Well, I think you hit the nail right on the head. People are definitely very frustrated, and they want us, quite frankly, they want to see change. If day one in the Senate, what would you, let's say, because there's a good chance that if you're elected, Republicans are going to be in charge of both the House and the Senate. Day one. Or let's say the first 100 days, what would you like to see the agenda of the U.S. Senate be under Republican control?
Well, I think medical freedom's got to be at the top of the list, because I believe that is the head of the beast, so to speak, in this communist Marxist agenda that exists within the establishment. We've got to have something to combat the next COVID crisis, because there will be another one. There will be another one where they're trying to control us with masks or, a shot or a virus or whatever. And I honestly believe there's an effort in this country amongst the thousands of bureaucracies that are out there to make the people subservient and to make basically this republic that we have like Venezuela. And the only way I think you prevent that is you can't make people mindless zombies that can't have control over what goes into their brains and what goes into their veins. And the only way you prevent that is men of bold leadership and women of bold leadership standing up and saying, you know what, enough is enough. I think we need legislation that's out there that defines what the First Amendment is again, that defines what a medical exemption is, what a religious exemption is, because these blue state dictators and governors like Mussolini don't, obviously they need a coloring book to remind them of what that First Amendment means. And I'm tired of seeing folks the last 2 years that have had their HIPAA rights and their ADA rights trampled on. And so the only way we can prevent that or stop that is to get some checks and balances back in the system.
Well, I think you're 100% correct. And for a long time, and I've seen it happen in California, and we've seen it happen now in the Senate, where the legislative branch of government has ceded its authority to the executive. I mean, these are not things that are supposed to be defined by a department, by the executive. These are things that are supposed to be defined in statute. But you know, you have people in the legislative who are either too lazy or too cowardly to step up and make those sorts of changes. Now, one of the other things that we're seeing happening, and we're watching it happen right now, has to do with judicial appointments. We had 3 Republicans who voted to nominate or voted to allow Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson to be on the Supreme Court. What's your position on her judicial philosophy, and whether or not Republicans should have been voting for her?
Well, there's a special place in hell right near Dr. Fauci where I think she should live, to be quite frank with you, because anybody that supports pedophilia, anybody that has the highest percentage from what I've seen amongst judges, federal judges and judges, period, in the U.S., and Senator Tom Cotton pointed this out, the rulings she's made are, I think I heard, 30 to 50% below what other judges in her position ruled on the same issues. We know she's been soft on criminals. It's almost like she wants a Venezuela. She wants a communist country. And it's almost like she's taking money from people like George Soros. It's disgusting what our system has become, in the sense of men that are getting kickbacks and men and women that are just worried about their next term, and they're subservient to special interest groups and their donors. And so where's the leadership and where's the fortitude where men of valor and women of valor stand up and lean in again for this flag and the souls that are 6 feet under? And so that's why when I get to Washington, Craig, we're going to go scorched earth on a lot of these people that honestly, they're defaming everything we stand for. I mean, you know, I think about Ronald Reagan, and I think about John F. Kennedy, and I think about how defamed their legacies are, because the men and women of character and valor that are supposed to be standing up are being almost like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh, and they're walking away cowardly into a corner.
All right, so let me ask you this. So California is obviously a blue state, right? It's going to require independents and Democrats, not just Republicans. I think your message, exactly what you're saying, resonates 100% with just about 100% of Republicans. What's your message out there to the independents and the Democrats who are tired of what's going on? And you know that if you said this to them, you know that there's no way that they could not support you.
Well, I've said it since day one, Craig, and I actually, before I really got in primary mode, so to speak, you know, even when I'm not talking to my base, I've always said since day one, I'm a diehard Jesus guy, I'm a diehard Trump guy, but this isn't about red or blue. It's not about Biden or Trump. It's not about race or gender. 2022 is a referendum on whether, as parents, we continue to control what goes in our kids' brains and what goes in our kids' veins. And that transcends partisan politics, and it rolls into humanity. Because at the end of the day, there's 51% fundamentally as human beings that we all agree on. You should be able to raise your kids in love the way you want to raise them, and not have big government come into your kitchens and living rooms and try to tell you how. And fundamentally, that's what we need to be focused on. People need to quit voting along party lines and vote for the candidate that best represents the future of their kids. And I am that guy because I've been a father first and foremost. That's the biggest thing I'm proud of. Well,
you know, it's funny. Some of them like to call themselves liberals, but liberal is about liberty. And you cannot have liberty with government dictates that are telling you exactly, you know, what you are to think, how you are to think, and quite frankly, shutting you down if you don't think like that. Now, one of the other issues that would be really great to see the U.S. Senate tackle has to do with freedom of speech. I mean, we've seen a fascist type partnership between the left, the mainstream media, and big tech. As a U.S. Senator, what would you like to see happen, or what were some of the things that you would propose in order to address this, quite frankly, affront on the first, if not the most sacred, of our constitutional rights?
Well, I think, and pardon me, I can't remember the name of the act, but 2003 or whatever it was, basically the computerized information kind of tech act that was passed, I think 10 years ago or something, that is allowing all of them to have this blanket sheet of protection that thing needs to be repealed immediately, because it's crazy to think that folks would be able to pretty much have a monopoly and a censorship platform. I mean, in any of these communist countries, they're laughing at us right now because of the way one side is completely being silenced. And even on my own social media platforms with my nonprofit 1776 Forever Free, I mean, I can tell you we should be at almost 1 million followers, and we're at 120,000, and it never grows. So I think repealing that act, and apologies that I can't remember the name of it, but it was a talking point a year and a half ago, and now it's
Right.
silence and crickets about it. But it's probably one of the most pivotal pieces of legislation that needs to be immediately repealed out there.
Yes, and in essence, what it does, for those who don't know, it provides certain protections to technology companies, to internet companies like Google, or to social media companies. And it basically says that they have certain legal protections that other media sources don't have. And their argument for getting it was, well, we're not editors. We can't control what people say on our sites or the information that's connected to. But the problem is that's exactly what they're doing. And they're censoring. It's the number of things. Let's see. Hunter Biden's laptop, hydroxychloroquine, the Wuhan labs. These are all examples of things. If you said them, your voice got shut down, and in some cases, they completely and utterly lost access to the internet, or at least not the internet, but to their social media platforms to be able to communicate. And social media and the internet, quite frankly, it's the modern day pub town square. And so if they are not willing to allow there to be free speech, well, then they need to be regulated so that when you do, for example, New York Post should be able to sue them for what they did.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. And you and I are the last people to want more government. We're the limited government guys. But when you see people trampling on the First Amendment under the auspices that, oh, well, this bill or this act or this piece of legislation is supposed to give everybody their First Amendment rights or choice to say what they want, but one side's completely controlling the narrative, and then people are being canceled, and the 45th president of the United States is canceled. That just doesn't smell in the air like everybody's getting along nicely and we're all frolicking in the Meadowlands holding hands and singing Kumbaya. It kind of seems like one group is being silenced.
Exactly. Now I want to kind of switch gears a little bit. As you can tell right now, there's a lot going on in the world. And probably the Senate, more than the House, seems to be the voice of both reason and conscience within Congress when it comes to some of the things, whether it's Ukraine or whether it's dealing with China. What are some of your priorities, whether they be military priorities or just foreign relation type priorities as U.S. Senator?
Well, I think that what Donald Trump showed us is that posturing and true leadership is about the position that you have as a leader. And what I mean is a strong military not only is a physical presence, but it has a psychological impact. And I think we saw that by how much our military was strengthened under Donald Trump and his interactions with Kim Jong-un, with these other dictators or some of these other representative presidents, prime ministers. You saw the reaction of a guy that's a leader, a guy that walks in the room and has a lot of gravitas and a strong personality, and then a strong military backing him up. People were willing to negotiate. They knew that Trump was going to do tariffs, do whatever it took, even when he stood up to NATO to say, you know what, you're not going to get one over on the United States. And to put it very simply, the problem we have now is we have weak leadership. We have a weak, woke military. And as a former Marine, I'm ashamed to say that, but when you don't have leadership from the top down, you start to see the erosion of that at the smallest levels. Even the PFC or the private in the Marine Corps is kind of looking up saying, what's going on? And then on top of that, you have a military being set, you have PFCs and privates and people of all walks of life and all ranks in the military being told, hey, here's a vaccine you have to take. You don't have a choice. So I think morale in a very short period of time prior to 15 months ago was very high in the military. I think it's very low. And from a foreign policy standpoint, we have to get that back, because that gravitas and that position that we had, that leadership is such a psychological thing. Having that when you walk in the room as a president, and for your Secretary of State or your Secretary of Defense to be able to have that as they walk in a room is so important, I think. And I think we've lost that more than anything.
Oh, most definitely. I think you hit the nail right on the head. For folks who are interested in supporting your campaign, who want to follow your campaign, how can they do so? How can they?
Yeah, you can go to Cordie4Senate.com, CORDIE, number 4Senate.com. You know, you want to volunteer. We need all the volunteers. I always say it's a three-legged stool, time, hands, and money. Whatever you can contribute would be huge. We'd love for you to get involved, fill out the volunteer form, and we'll put you to work, or the CRA will, one or the other.
Oh, most definitely. And for those of you, just so that you know, we have a page. We're going to have a page for each of the candidates that we've endorsed on our website. You can go there. Whatever news comes up, you will be able to find them in the news. We want to do everything possible to support you, Dr. Williams. We very much appreciate you. We appreciate you stepping up and being a patriot and being willing to give of your time. And we know that family time is vitally important to you. So we appreciate you being willing to do that. With that, I want to thank you for coming on the program, and hope to if there's ever an opportunity where there's something you want to tell specifically to the folks at CRA, just drop me a line, man, and we'll have you back on.
Well, I'm honored, Craig, and I really appreciate it. Great interview, and you're a solid guy. I really appreciate everything you're doing for the state.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Cordie Williams. All right, well, hey, that's going to be it for this episode of CRATV. We very much appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. Please make sure to tell them about the California Republican Assembly. We are the conscience of the Republican Party. See you real soon.